Okay, so here I am in person. You're not going to see me very often. This was a special occasion since I'm talking about kittens' diarrhea. And I want to give you just a general background on kittens with diarrhea first. Almost all little kittens that are bottle babies that you're feeding that their mothers have abandoned, or someone has given you, little tiny babies, they're almost all going to have diarrhea all the time. So just kind of expect that. And part of the reason for that is just that they have little tiny systems that are still developing, and so the diarrhea is sometimes just a part and a normal part of their functioning. And I have known for bottle babies that I have taken in and then kept till they're full-grown cats, that sometimes it takes a really long time for them to get over that diarrhea, that sort of problems with their GI tract, whatever reason it may be. That's the first piece of information I want to give you. The second piece of information I want to give you is once they're off bottles and you're starting to feed them, the one thing that you just mustn't ever do, unless you want to create diarrhea problems, is to start changing food around all the time. Pick one food, pick a national good brand that's been around forever, that has been tested for years. I personally endorse Friskies cat food, both dry and wet. They've been around forever. They haven't had any particular problems, no recalls that are, and cats dying from eating their food. So pick a national brand and then stick to it. Cats are finicky eaters, period. And there'll be days when they decide they just don't want to eat. So don't go run out and get them some kind of new food, because that's not going to solve the problem. My philosophy on handling my feral cat colony is, it is not important to me whether or not you like the food. That's not my problem. My problem is giving you food on a daily basis and to make sure that you are nourished. If for some reason you don't like the food that day, or you don't want to eat the food that day, that's okay. Even people can be like that. So just don't be hyper-focused on the food. Decide on a food you want to feed, then feed it, and then forget it. Just keep feeding that food all the time. When they're hungry, they'll eat. When they're not hungry, they won't eat. Okay? When you've got kittens, however, if they start having trouble with the food that you're on, the quickest and fastest way to figure out what's going on is to eliminate the food that is the national brand that you've decided to use and switch immediately to baby food, to the full protein mix of baby food. I think it's called second development or second year or something like that for the baby food. It comes in little tiny bottles, glass bottles. You can buy them at Walmart for somewhere between 94 and 96 cents a little jar, glass jar. They come in ham, turkey, beef, chicken, I think. My cats happen to love the chicken and the ham, believe it or not. So switch the babies to that immediately, because that's pure protein, and you'll be able to find out, if sort of by eliminating the food that may be causing the diarrhea, by switching to the pure protein, it's a way to kind of stabilize them. You can also mix in some cooked rice into that, to the baby formula, baby food, and give that to them, and that will also stabilize the diarrhea. Remember to also rehydrate, and there's a video on my channel that talks about rehydrating your babies, and make sure that you're doing that, because that's the most important thing you can do. They can do without food, but they can die if they get totally dehydrated. So hydrating is the most important issue if the kitten or the cat has diarrhea, and keep them on the hydration formula for as long as the diarrhea continues. That may mean that those little kittens are going to be on the hydration formula forever and ever and ever. I would once or twice a week give them just plain water, just to make sure that they're drinking as much water as they possibly can. So let's see if there's anything else here I want to tell you. Yeah, if you've got little kittens and they're already, running around a safe room or around the house or whatever, you also have to make sure that you have litter boxes everywhere if you have little kittens that have diarrhea. And I do suggest that you confine them to one room so they're not running all over the house having diarrhea. But even within one room, you ought to have, I don't know, 10, 12 little litter boxes, and use those little aluminum pie tins because they work just perfectly. They're not, I think they may be an inch high. They're small and round. You put kitty litter in those, and when they're wasted and you just can no longer get them clean, you can toss them. So do that. Remember that their little insides are tiny. They can't hold the diarrhea. So you need to give them as much help as you can so that they don't have accidents. Okay? So that's video on kittens diarrhea, and the next video will be on cats with diarrhea.